Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you wherever in the world you are. Welcome to TFH, the Full 100, where the truth is told. Today is Tuesday, the 14th of April. Tuesday, the 14th of April. We've just come out the other end of Easter, and today is a very critical day, my friends. And today's video will be touching on a few things. At the second part of the video is about domestic violence, as I said yesterday, and the rise in domestic violence during this period in coronavirus, which is quite shocking, to be honest. I'm sure you noticed the poster I put up before the show, just between the intro music and me coming on. I want to read it out to you and explain to you why I put it up before we get down to the nitty gritty of the show. It says nothing should go back to normal. It says normal wasn't working. It wasn't. If we go back to the way things were, we will have lost the lesson. And then he finishes by saying, may we rise up and do better. Amen. The reason I put it up, I found this on the internet and I just thought, wow. I found it a couple of weeks back before I even started this blog, but I saved it. And it was something someone wrote, handwritten. You could see the guy's finger holding up the sign. But guys, this goes back to what I was saying yesterday about scrapping the old ways of doing things, about putting people first, not banks first, not businesses first, not airlines first, not industry first, oil first. All of these things come first before people. It's been like that since man's existed, people. This being the first time that 95% of the world were going through exactly the same thing. Think about it. There's never been a time where 95% of the world are all home locked in, no matter what time zone you're in, whether it's early hours of the morning in Japan or early afternoon in the US, we were all home. First time it's ever happened, people. Why don't we use this to learn from things, people? Yesterday, I called for a scrapping of the credit file and the way things were done. I called for two new benchmarks to be introduced into our everyday lives. Those two things I called for were Essential Job Score, your EJS, and also the Good Citizenship Score. And I believe those two things should be the first things that banks look at, or your job looks at, or the credit referencing organizations look at before anything else. And they really have to put it in practice, as in the government has to make this law and not say, oh, well, we'll leave it up to different banks. If the bank is kind-hearted enough, then you can do that. If whoever's the CEO at this bank, if he's not such a nice guy, then if they choose not to do that, it's okay. No, it has to be made law. It has to be made law, because I can't think of another way to flip this upside down. Can you? We have to change how we see people. We have to change how we rate people, how we class people. We have to change what we think was important. Now that we've all experienced this, what we thought money was important, guess what? It wasn't that important. Someone made a joke the other day how, well, those of us who are black and from black backgrounds remember our parents saying to us, why are you going outside? Outside isn't going nowhere anyway. Outside will be there. Keep your bottom indoors. Outside isn't going anywhere. And the joke of it was in the post was that, Mom, you was wrong. Rest in peace, Mom, but you was wrong. Outside has gone somewhere. Literally, what that means is moms and parents used to go, where are you going out at this time? Listen, wherever you're going to do, it will be there tomorrow. Whoever you're going to see, it will be there tomorrow. Now we can't. If I wanted to go see my dad or my cousins, I can't. So we are experiencing something new. And the only way I believe that we can flip the script is by changing the basis by which we judge people. That would allow all these people that Boris Johnson and all of us are praising and applauding, that would allow them a better life. It will show them that we appreciate them, because many of them will profit from these points I'm raising now than your stockbroker. But let me just say, elaborate on that before we start the actual show. When I said I want things to be in this order, essential job score, number one, just like your credit rating or your pay slips are number one today for a loan. Your essential job score, number one priority, because that means if you're an essential category of workers, you're at the top of the food chain. Then we go to good citizenship score. It's another way to stop right-wing nuts and all those people who create division in the community. It's another way to stop criminals. It's another way to stop people from reoffending. It's another way to stop. If you tell us a prisoner who's just come out of jail, look, go and start your gardening business. When you go to the bank for a loan, they're going to be looking at your essential job score. Gardening is not an essential job. However, it is services that people rely on. So you might get a decent score with that. Good citizenship score, mate, you're down 10 points because of your recent conviction. Okay? Then I also call for scrapping your old credit score and installing a new one. So your credit score will begin from the day you contact the system or whatever it is. Up until then, everyone's is zero. So if this guy's never contacted the system before, or he's a new, 25-year-old criminal who's just not criminal, but someone who's just offended. But other than that, he's lived a good life, a good citizenship score. Then he gets a little bit of a mark up on those things, which brings him back up. And I'm giving you the worst case scenario. This is for someone who's just come out of prison. Then you got the new credit report. His credit report will be zero because if he's never contacted him and now coming out of prison, he wants to better his life, he starts from zero, which before is a mark, not a tick, but a mark on your name. Now it's nothing because everyone started from zero in 2020. Then your job earning comes into play. Then your then all of that stuff. But I am recommending that we don't just give anybody money to buy a house if their job can't afford it. So I'm talking about loans that people need on a daily basis to survive, things that people need to get by credit cards. I'm talking about loans. We can make this up for loans below £10,000, for example. And then anything above £10,000, you guys know how DBS works. You got a normal DBS and then you got an enhanced DBS. So we can do an enhanced credit score rating and a normal credit score rating. And when you go in for a mortgage or anything over £10,000, then your enhanced one comes in. And that enhanced then goes back to your credit rating before this crisis. Okay? That's my proposal. And I wanted to go into a little bit more detail. I didn't want to do it on yesterday's video because that was a side thing. So, as I said, when anything over £10,000, we call it an enhanced check. So you know from off that I'm going to the bank for £10,000. I might need to buy a house. So you start to look after your credit rating. Okay? Now, even though, for example, you might have started in this new system and you got a good credit rating in this new system because you've been given a second chance. Millions of people have been given a second chance to start over. Let's say you start over and 2 years in, you now got brilliant credit rating, nothing like you ever had before. You go to try and get a mortgage. The banks then have the right. We're not taking rights away from the bank. We're not saying lend money blindly. At that point, the bank then checks your essential job score. Oh, great person. They check your good citizenship score. Great person. New credit record, A+, because you've changed your ways or whatever the case might be. Job earning, satisfactory. Everything passes. However, Mr. Jones, you're here to borrow £18,000. So he's now £8,000 above that threshold that they will have to go into your deeper credit file. You then start with that. You then come in and start and ask for £18,000. They then do a deeper, enhanced credit check on you and come back to you and say, look, Mr. Jones, we're sorry, but your credit file from before the new files were created is pretty poor, and we're sorry, we can't give you this. However, if you over the next 2 years or over the next year match your behavior with your new credit file, then we'll consider that again. It gives people something to work towards. It's not hopeless. Okay? It's hopeful. Right? So before I get to it, I just want to say this. If we are to build this country back and get our economy back in shape, quicker rather than slower, we need a happy nation. We need a one people, my friends. We need a happy country. Since 2016 and before that, before 2016, part of the country was unhappy about immigration and the EU and all this. And then after 2016, when they voted, then the other half of the country, I know you guys keep claiming 52%, but there's 48% that said no. So that's half the country, more or less, that was unhappy. We've had a divided country for far too long. Let this situation be the situation that brings us back together. Let's start recognizing people that split us apart. Let's start recognizing the right-wing people and the right-wing newspapers. Let's start recognizing these things as harmful to our well-being. Please. This is a plea to every one of us and the governments of the world. Let's frown at anything that makes me not like my neighbor. Let's delete any messages that comes to our phones that tells you that this group of people are bad or that group of people are bad. It was single mother Rastafarians, then single mothers, then gangs, then it's Somalians, then it's Kosovans, then it's the EU, then it's the Romanians. The papers, especially the right-wing press, are never happy unless there is a bad guy or bad group of people that the rest of us must hate. Let's stop it as from today, is my plea to you guys. This nation will not get back on its feet quickly enough if we're worried about the next guy and we're worried about an argument with the next guy and we're throwing stuff at each other online, this side against that side, the left against the right, the Brexiteers against the Remainers. All of this stuff pales in comparison now, doesn't it? So the only thing I'm trying to say to everybody is let's have a fresh start. Let's be a happy country. Let's stay united. If you had the Nazi sign put into your head, on your scalp, find a way to get rid of it, because automatically people see you and you look like you belong against them. If you're somebody on the left who hates wealthy people, if the world changes, you might find that you've now been given a second chance, a chance to build yourself up, and that will get rid of that hate. It's time to stop hating one another, people. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to it. Right, today I want to discuss the critical situation with the US and the UK. We talk about fake news all the time, and I want to bring up a classic example of fake news when people tend to blame the press. I had a conversation with this girl I know a couple of days ago, and she was telling me reasons why she can't trust the press. And she came out with something like, look at the Mark Duggan. You all remember Mark Duggan that the police lied about and caused huge riots across the country in 2011. And even in America, many countries picked up our riots and ran with it. It all started over a young guy from my town, Tottenham, who was shot by police, and the police claimed he had a gun when he didn't. And this girl said to me, how dumb is this? This girl says to me, the reason she can't trust the press is because the press tells lies. Look what they did about Mark Duggan. The press said he had a gun and didn't have a gun. I couldn't believe how stupid that comment was, because what she's forgetting and what most people don't think about is that the press weren't witness to the action. There wasn't a camera crew there filming that said, oh yeah, I saw him with a gun. No, they were reporting what the police told them. So the real liars were the police, not the press. Okay, because if you ask me how many people live next door to you, And yesterday I spoke to the dad, and he says there was 7 people living in the house. And you ask me the next day, I'll tell you, I think there's 7 people. The dad says there's 7 people in the house. If you then knock on that door and see 10 people in there, am I a liar? I'm not. I'm just repeating what the person who lived in the house told me. They are the ones who were lying. I've just told you what I was told. That's usually the case with a lot of press. However, people, let me start warning from this show about the influence that right-wing press has. Because just like with fake news, people, fake news travels faster than real news, than truth, than good news. So a bus driving down a ravine, killing 50 people, will have bigger headlines than a bus driver who nearly fell down the ravine, managed to steer his bus in the right way and save the people. That will be on page 9. So this is how we tend to behave, right? Now, let me tell you something. So a couple of days ago, I gave the UK death rate on that day, and I said it was 980, right? When I watched the news in the evening, all the way to the end of the day, they never went up from 917. They were on 917. Now, if any of you were paying good attention, you probably would have ended up saying, he's got his information wrong. Well, let me tell you what has transpired today. I knew this was the case anyway, okay? My figures was correct. But today, the UK have been spreading bad news and fake news. I'm sorry. Not the press who are reporting it, but the government statisticians. The people within the government who give you their numbers. They're the ones who've been lying. Do you know that? I knew, but I'm telling you now. When you see the number on the TV, do you know that they're leaving out those who die in the community? So if I was to contract this virus, and for some reason, I've called the doctors, I've called 111, and they're just saying, oh, just stay at home. You might not have it, but isolate yourself anyway. And I isolate myself in the room, and the next morning my wife comes downstairs and finds me dead. And then they take me to the morgue and find out it was coronavirus. That number doesn't register on the number they give you daily. Deaths in nursing homes do not register on the number they're giving you daily. The numbers they're giving you daily is only deaths in the hospital. Do you know what difference it makes? You'll be very shocked. So this is the fake news we're watching live from our own government. And I won't say it's the press. It's not the press. This is the government's people pushing the numbers out. So the press take the numbers they're given by the government and they put it on their screen. But the press, CNN today has revealed, even though the BBC stated it, but they stated it in such a way that it go over your head. Which is why I don't take BBC's news at face value. My favorite news channel is Channel 4 in the UK, and in the US, CNN. But what the way the BBC did it was, these are the numbers. The latest numbers of today is 624, but does not take into account nursing homes or those who die in the community. And then they move on. Now, if you're not paying attention, you miss it completely. You'll miss it. So the difference it makes in the way they're telling you the number is like this. As of April 3rd, they told you there was 4,093 dead. The actual number was 6,235. 6,235 was the actual number. Okay? They told you 4,093. That's nearly 2,000 people that passed as of that time, up to that period. That's nearly 2,000 people that they're not putting into the numbers. Why would they want to do that? What is the motive behind telling people the wrong number of deaths? I don't understand what the motive is. Are you trying to not frighten them? Are you discounting those who die in a nursing home as not important enough? Are you discounting those who die in the community even though they're dying of the same thing? Are you saying it's different? Somehow, you die in a hospital, we count you, but you die in your house, you don't matter. What is the point? Now, this, my friends, is fake news. Fake news. That's why you tune into my channel to get the real deal. Let me give you another number. At the moment, The way we've been doing the numbers, there is a 52 estimated, because look, we can't know everything, can we? Like I've always said to anyone I care about and love, our job as people is to narrow the gap between the truth and what you know. So you'll never know the 100% truth, just like you will never know the 100% truth of what happens in my home. Or I will never know the 100% truth of what happens in your home. So our job is not to know the 100% truth, because that's impossible. Not even the Prime Minister knows the 100% truth of any scenario. Okay? So who are we to get the 100% truth? However, our job is to get as close to the truth as possible, my friends. As close to the truth as possible. Okay? Do you know that there's a 52% discrepancy estimated by CNN in the numbers they're giving you and the real death numbers? So, having said that, I'm going to now show you the numbers. No, the escapade in the US by the God of fake news himself. He became unhinged yesterday. If you recall my video yesterday, I told you how he's not answering questions. He's batting them off. He's shutting them off. I think the public over there, including his own supporters, because whenever he changes his tact, it's because his own supporters, those who die hard Trump, when they start to talk a little bit, and I guess I said to my wife 4 weeks ago, when he was talking all this crap, I said to her 4 or 5 weeks ago that he might get away with saying it now, but he's so stupid, he's not thinking of tomorrow. What happens when these people's families start to die? What happens when one of them loses a grandma? What happens when the person who would have defended you to the end of the kingdom sees that their own dad, their own parents have passed, their own children have passed? Then they're going to start seeing the truth. And I said that to my missus, just in a not angry, but I was watching the screen and I was angry at what this guy was saying to people. I'm going to show you a quick montage of what he's been putting out and how he's now battling to try and defend the crap he was talking all this time ago. Take a look at this.
By April, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away.
People are getting better. They're all getting better. We're very close to a vaccine.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero, that's a pretty good job we've done. We're going down, not up. We're going very substantially down, not up. But we have it so well under control. I mean, we really have done a very good job. We're testing everybody that we need to test, and we're finding very little problem. Now, you treat this like a flu.
Right? And now, he's trying to erase people's memories that he said all that stuff, okay? Now, that stuff's dangerous. I might laugh about it because he's such an idiot that you can't honestly believe you put him in charge of a family, never mind a country. Now, fake news is causing a lot of deaths, my friends. So let me give you guys the statistics so far. In the US, as of today, they got 23,600. It makes Italy and Spain look like child's play. I think the highest that law ever got to was about 15, 16,000 plus. These guys haven't even got to the top of the game, and they're at 23,600 people. Okay? Now, so it's not even allowing this guy to make good decisions. He got into a situation with the press yesterday, trying to tell the press that he's got the right to open up all the states that are locked down. Remember, there are many states not locked down, but they're all his party states, all Conservative Party states. So they've said to him, no, but you didn't close them down. They got their own executive powers. They chose to close their own states down. So you refused to put in a national close down strategy. You backed away from it. You didn't want to do it. So the states, after waiting for you, decided to lock down their own states. Now, many of those are now paying dividends. New York is paying dividends. California already paid dividends last week. Yeah. Now, all these states that locked down are now paying dividends. You're now looking at them and saying you want to open back up the states, the whole country. He thinks he's got the power to do that. So all day today and yesterday evening, You've had governors coming on saying, what the hell's wrong with this guy? You didn't close us down. We closed ourselves down. Of course we won't listen to him if he tries to. But he's ignorant and he thinks he can do that. But scientifically, this is why he can't do that. Have a look at this. So clearly you can see that he's deluded, because America is still going up. Okay, now that chart I just showed you, okay, I'm going to bring it up here so I can explain to you. You see the red dot, the red states, these are all Republican states. That's Florida down there. Yeah, they're not totally shut, but they shut the schools. This is the same governor I told you the other day that claimed that he is going to open the schools back in a minute. And the reason he's doing so is because he hasn't seen any evidence of anybody dying under 25. Which, come on, I don't even need to say anything to you guys. We know this is so fake and so false. It's actually dangerous, right? So these are the red states here. Now, these states are coming out of it. Most of these states here, what's it called? Democrats. Okay, so your Labor Party states, right? Over here, you got New York towards here. So these states have already got it, and they are either getting to their peak, so closer to the end, or they are slightly coming downwards, slightly. Now, these states, they haven't even had anywhere near their peaks. So when you go divided country like this, okay, how the hell, it's like if the EU was one country, and you saw how each individual country did their own thing. However, also, if the EU was one country, you could see that Spain and Italy were weeks behind us. We are probably weeks behind, I don't know, somewhere like Russia, because Russia's case is just starting to build up now, yeah? We're weeks behind. So the point I'm trying to make is the US is like a continent. It is as big as a continent on its own. Some of these states, many of these states are larger than the countries in the EU, as we all know. So when you see a map like this and it's showing you that there's spots that still haven't taken off yet, but they're coming, all right? All these haven't taken off yet, but they're coming. How do you then open up the whole country? Why would you do that? That's the madness that this guy's in, okay? Now, because of his activities, I want to show you another statistic. Have a look. This is what he doesn't like, okay? Because this is what's scaring the living daylights out of him. The governors have got a higher rating than your president. And that's the group of governors put together. And I'm sure the Republican governors are not classing this because they're doing the wrong thing. And people are not stupid now. They're waking up to the real truth, right? Okay, so this is what is killing him over there, because people are waking up to the real truth. Now, I want to move on from that and go on to the racial aspect of this, and is really worried. I just got, as of yesterday, some statistics on the ethnic, how this is affecting the BME community, the ethnic community in the UK. And even though I haven't got any graphics to show you, my research has revealed the data that's not being made official is revealing that 1 in 3 deaths is from the ethnic community. 1 in 3 deaths is from the ethnic community. Listen to this doctor give an interview on BBC.
Today about black and minority ethnic people perhaps being more vulnerable to coronavirus. Is this something that you are seeing in your surgery, and is it something that people in that demographic should be worried about?
Yes, there is evidence. You can look at the NHS workers who are dying. A high proportion of them are from a black and ethnic minority background. 1 in 3 patients in hospital with coronavirus are said to be from a black and ethnic minority background. So that does, worry me as someone from that particular background. I also work in Bradford, where there is a high ethnic minority background, and so our numbers are skewed a little bit, but we are seeing patients from that background with the illness. It's hard to know why. Is it because of health inequalities? Is it some high number of ethnic minority doctors have died who have come here to the NHS, to work. Over the last couple of years, there have been some really ugly debates around immigration. And I hope this goes some way in showing what this immigration population is doing for this country. They're making the ultimate sacrifice. And I hope it shows those people who are on the wrong side of that debate that immigrants are good for this country.
It's pretty shocking. I don't understand why this is the case. There is some factors that obviously we have to take into account. It is true that the ethnic communities probably live on lower income, but they're more likely to be on lower income. But I think a big factor of it is also fake news. I think I've seen more belief from my fellow black citizens in the UK, just my circle of friends. It's hard to shake their feet, their mentality. It really is, guys. And I think that has a big part to play with it. I know there will be people out there that still believe that it's 5G, and when they're driving past a tower, they will give it a wide berth. But when they're walking past someone who's coughing, they walk straight into them. It's sad, but this is what fake news does. And it's time that we fight fake news, my friends. Okay? The UK, you are banding about fake numbers. Let's stop it today. Let's include everybody that is proven to have died. I don't care if someone dies on a Tuesday and you can't have a post-mortem till next week Tuesday. Add that person's number, not to the Tuesday before, not to the day they died. Fair enough. But add it on the day it's confirmed. Add it to that day's number. It's a fair way to do it, seeing as not everybody can be tested on this at the same time, especially if they haven't died in the hospital. If they died in the hospital, you can confirm fully 1,000% that they are that it's a COVID death. When they die in the community or they die in the nursing home, I understand. You've got to make sure it is, but now you've made sure it is. You don't put the numbers up. You're deceiving people on purpose. Stop the fake news. The newspapers are reporting your fake news. I don't want to blame it on the newspapers, because this is the government's statisticians that's giving these numbers. Stop the fake news. Tell the people the real numbers, please. Okay? So, at the end of the day, guys, fake news is something that I'm here to fight. And I will fight in every which way I can. So that when things come back around again, we know who to believe. We know where to go search for the truth. We know how to avoid being fooled by these people. Right? Now, the data, the race data coming out of how do we know that these numbers, these 52% more that they're declaring, how do we know those are not solely people of ethnic minorities? How do we know that those dying in the communities are more likely to be black or Asian or Chinese or mixed heritage? Until you put out the real numbers, we don't have the real picture, Boris Johnson. So please do your best to bring that up. Now, the situation in America with this virus affecting a lot of ethnic people is pretty bad. If we're taking, and what I've found out and I've just disclosed to you guys on this show, is that so far is 1 in 3. 1 in 3. I mean, the BME population is 1 in 12, 1 in 14, something like that. So if it's between 1 in 14 and 1 in 18, if that's the proportion of ethnic people in this country, but 1 in 3 are dying, is something to take notice of, please. Those whose decision this is, and correct it, act on it while it's still going on. Don't let this whole chapter finish and then go back and do what you should have done. Don't do that, because every life we save is one less who is missed. Okay? One less person that we lose. Okay? So, having said all of that, I do want to just bring up another issue, which is the American Indians. As I said to you guys yesterday, with the situation with the American Indians is pretty poor. Again, so far there is no data on that I can quote for you guys, unfortunately. However, I will be doing my very best to search for that data. Now, the one other thing I want to bring up before we move on to part 2 of the show is I don't know if you guys know, but there is now the Japanese are claiming to have some cure for coronavirus. They're claiming to be the closest to it. So as soon as that transpires, I will also bring that news to you. But then on the other hand, I mentioned chloroquine to you guys. If you remember one of my videos last week, I mentioned they're trying a drug that treats malaria. It was made for malaria, but they are now trying it out. And the drug's called chloroquine. And basically chloroquine, like I said, was too strong for the flu, because malaria is like a flu thing, isn't it? You get fever, high fevers. It's like flu times 100. So this drug is like what can kill a flu times 100. And so they think it's strong enough to tackle this flu, because coronavirus is a type of flu as well. But so far, they've tried in Brazil. They tried a trial that they were carrying out has just killed 11 people, I gather. So people, they shouldn't rush to find this solution. They should relax. They should take their time, get it right. 11 people, they've had to stop the drug trial in Brazil because 11 people have died. Japan, however, claims to now have a cure or close to a cure. So again, this is something I'll be keeping an eye on here for you guys. The vaccine is nowhere near. Like I said to you guys, all of you worrying about vaccine, they haven't even brought out the treatment for it. Vaccine is something that protects you lifetime on it. We first have to have something that cures it now when you have something. So they haven't even got that yet. So people, stop worrying about vaccines, stop worrying about all of that. Stay tuned to my channel and I will let you know when they come out. Now, over to the second part of this, which is discussing something really, really shocking to me and serious as well, which is the case of domestic violence right across the world. I'm going to show you. Here's the Home Secretary talking in the UK just the other day.
In the last week, the National Domestic Abuse Helpline reported a 120% increase in the number of calls it received in one 24-hour period. Now, while we have not yet seen a sustained rise in reports of domestic abuse to the police, this increase in those seeking help for this hidden crime is extremely concerning. And be in no doubt, there'll be absolutely no let-up in our operational response. Anyone in immediate danger should call 999 and press 55 on a mobile if they are unable to talk. Let me repeat that again. Anyone in immediate danger should call 999 and press 55 on a mobile if you are unable to talk. Our outstanding police will absolutely be there for you. And today I can announce that we will go even further to provide support for those in danger of domestic abuse. And I'm launching a new national communications campaign to reach out to those who are at risk from abuse, highlighting that they can still leave home to get the support that you need. It will signpost victims in terms of how they can access help, but also to reassure them by making sure that they can access the services that they need at this particular time. And importantly, it will tell them that they are not alone. Now, I'm clear about this. It's the perpetrators who should be the ones that have to leave the family homes, and not the supposed loved ones whom they torment and abuse. Our priority is to get the abusers out, but sadly, this is not always possible. So where a victim and their children do need to leave, we will ensure that they have a safe place to go to. And that's why we are looking at alternative accommodation to support those in need at this difficult time.
Look at the headlines in Europe. And now take a look at the US. My friends, that's only data from the developed world. I'd hate to think what's happening in countries that actually haven't got even started to deal with domestic violence situations when the world is at a normal place. It's diabolical that the person you are spending your day with 24/7, who you're relying on them to make your lockdown go as smoothly as possible, you're raising your hands to them. And guys, I'm not a biased person. So this conversation, because this isn't broken down in women reporting, yes, we've had a lot of women have reported more than men. But I'm not dumb enough to think that there aren't men right now who are under lock and keys, who are being bullied in their own homes by their missus, for whatever the reason might be. So this works both ways. So when I say, I can't believe you're putting your hands or you're bringing violence to the one person right now in your life that can make your lockdown go smoother. Think, guys. Look, think about this. When we're locked in, when we're home, when we go to work, we come home, you don't like your wife or you don't like your husband that much, or you're going through a period where you don't like each other much, we got options. That's the beauty of it. You can get up, get in your car, get an Uber. You can go to a bar, drink yourself till 2 a.m. in the morning, come home, crash out, so you don't have to talk to that person you don't like much. Under normal times, when your husband cooks or your wife cooks and you don't like the food, you can go and order wherever you like out there and replace the food, save it, whatever. We're living this is a period where you don't have those choices. The only choice you have is to make home as nice as possible. I thank my wife for making this last 3 weeks we've been on lockdown as fun. Not just bearable, but actual fun. That's what we should all be trying to do, guys. You know, quash your beef with your wife, quash your beef with your husband. Whatever happened before, remember this. She or he, at the drop of a hat, can be taken away in an ambulance, and the next time you hear from them is a nurse telling you they've passed away. Let me tickle your brain with this. How many of us know for a fact, that many times we've seen it, we know for a fact it happens when a couple one partner loses the other. And on the morning when the last they saw each other, they didn't say goodbye. They weren't speaking. They were on bad terms. He goes off to work. On his way back from work, he's involved in a car accident, never to come home again. The grief and the pain that the one who's left behind feels, mostly for not making peace that morning. If I knew he was coming home, I would have said good morning. Nothing would have mattered. Nothing but we say that when it's happened to us. We say that in retrospect. What I'm saying to you guys is this is the time to live like you're living in retrospect. This is the time to understand that if one of you catch this thing, not just the other person isn't going to be at the hospital, because even if your child contracts this virus, I hope many of you know this, but you do know your child gets taken in an ambulance and you can't escort them to the hospital, right? You do know that child is then put in a ward with other children who have this. And you have no way of contacting this child other than FaceTime if your child has a phone, if your child's old enough to operate one. Do you know that if that child passes away, please pray God it doesn't, but if that child was to pass away, the last time you would have seen your child was when they were getting in the ambulance. So for those of you who are practicing this madness of domestic violence, so much so, that the UK has seen a 105% increase in the last 3 weeks. 105%. Think about it. That means if 10 women reported domestic violence last week, 20 odd of them now are doing so. Okay? That's 22. Call it 22 of them are now doing those. That will be about that. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So much so that they've now set up the National Communications Campaign to teach you guys out there, male, female. I am not discriminating. I don't care. I know men who get treated in that same way. Majority, 90% maybe, 85, 87%, high percentage number will be women, 1000%. And it's not fair on them because they are the weaker sex mostly. So it's more easier for them to suffer it because who they're with is going to be stronger than they are. But still, there is that 10%, 13% of men who are suffering that. So I'm not going to be biased against any side. But what it comes down to, guys, is, look, this is the person that can get you through this situation and make it fun. Why are you making where you're sitting down every day? Why are you making a hellhole to live in? Think about it. Please, people. Quash your beef today. If you're not speaking to your wife, or wife, you're not speaking to your husband, and one of you happen to watch this video today, please remember, just like you need your doctor to make you better, just like you need an ambulance to get you to the hospital, just like you need the hospital to be on point, you need your partner to get through this. You need your husband, your wife, to make this not so much of a torturous situation. And if you're not seeing that yet, I hope you do real soon. Right, guys, I'm going to call it a day, and we're going to come back again tomorrow and discuss important matters further. Hopefully I'll have some more statistics for you. And in the meantime, please put down the violence, domestic violence. Have a laugh. Watch comedy films together. Put on videos that release the tension, that takes down the hate or the bad atmosphere. What I'm trying to say to you people, when you watch this video, if you're not feeling 100% with your partner's not feeling 100% with you, it's okay to make the first move. Make the first move, because you need that ambulance. That partner is your ambulance. That partner is your hospital. That partner is your doctor while you're stuck at home. Just like the doctor can make you feel better, your partner can. So, guys, thank you for listening once again. I didn't want to end with such a sad situation, but just to raise the feeling, the mood a little bit, at the end of this video, I'm going to stick up a poster I found online that should bring some smiles to your faces. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and stay in touch with the news. Subscribe to my channel. We need support. Anybody who believes in what I'm doing, if you're a SEO type of person, you know how to get videos or companies or whatever entities up the Google ranking, get in touch with me. We need your help. If you're someone who has equipment, spare equipment, recording equipment, we need your help. If you're someone who can teach me and teach us how to record good videos, how to use equipment better, how to do this thing better, because I'm learning. This is raw. I've never done anything like this. So you're looking at a raw person doing this for the first time. So when I asked for support the other day on my videos, I wasn't asking for donations. Of course, if you like to put money to a good cause and you believe this is a good cause, feel free to contact me. However, I'm more looking for that support to make what we're doing get out there. My main thing is to get this out there, get this to go viral. So in any which way you can help to get this to go viral, please get in touch with me, and we'll really would appreciate your help. So guys, have a fantastic week. It's only Tuesday today, still a long way to go, week 3 of the lockdown, and all I would leave you by saying is look after yourselves, stay home, protect yourself, and don't pass fake news on. You get a fake news video, kill it when it gets to you, just like the virus. Kill it. Practice social distancing with fake videos. Have a good day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.